Hello and welcome. Let's go to the S3 console. Now inside S3 console, we have one option known as access points. We are going to discuss about access points in this video. Here, we have divided this video into the 4 chapters. Chapter number 1, Introduction of Access Point. Chapter number 2, Why Access Point is Needed. Types of S3 Access Points. And the 4th one is Lab of S3 Access Points. We are going to start with Introduction, Chapter 1. Here we have 4 points, and S3 access point is special way to connect your Amazon S3 bucket. When we create any bucket inside S3, bucket will have one URL. In order to access this bucket, we are using this bucket URL. But when we are creating access point, we are actually opening another way to access our bucket. Now the question is why we need to create this another access point, because bucket URL is always there. Here when we are using this particular access point to access our bucket, we have some advantages. For example, this access point helps you to control who can use your bucket and how they can use it. Along with access point, you can specify permission. If you are using this particular access point, you will get XYZ permission, means you will get put permission or any other permission. Now, if you have one bucket and you are accessing this bucket from only one application, you do not need to create access points. If you have application, if you have bucket and you want that bucket can be accessible from so many applications, like you have one bucket and you want this bucket will be accessible from hundreds of applications, in this case, if you are creating access point, it would be the better choice. Here, bucket access point is used to create different permission for different user or application. For each and every access point that you are creating, you can specify permissions, you can specify policy, and you can define who can access this particular bucket access point. You can set specific permission and network control for each access point, making your data more secure. You can define that this access point will be accessible from the VPC, or this particular access point will be accessible from the internet as well. So access point, using access point will provide you more granular control on your S3 bucket. I know that there is still confusion over here. So what we are doing in chapter number 2, we are going to compare access point and bucket policy, so it will provide you better clarity about use case of access point. So let's start chapter number 2, why access point. Now here I want you to take a look at this particular picture. Here I have comparison picture, and if you look at this, here I have 2 IAM user 1 and user 2. Same way I have one S3 bucket. Inside S3 bucket I have 2 folders. This is app1 folder and this is app2 folders. These 2 folders are actually inside one S3 bucket. Now I want that user 1 going to access app1 folder. User 2 is going to access app2 folder. User 1 can store objects inside app1 and user 2 can store object inside app2. Now when you are going to set up this, you have to create bucket policy. Keep this in mind that you can create only single bucket policy. Whatever the permission you want to define, you have to define everything inside this one policy. Now let's say that if you have 500 users and you want to give access to 500 bucket folders, in one policy, you have to define everything. So if you have more number of accessibility requirement, your policy will be very complex because you can create only one policy inside your S3 bucket. If you are going to create access point over here to fulfill this requirement, we can say that it will be smart way. Now, if you look at this particular picture, you will find out that we are creating this access point for same purpose, but it will remove the complexity associated with single bucket policy. Here we have two users, user 1 and user 2, same as we have for bucket policy. User 1 is going to access app 1 folder, user 2 is going to access app 2 folder, and we are giving them put permission. Instead of defining single permission, single bucket policy for them, here we have created two access point. User 1 will access access point 1, user 2 will access access point number 2. Now, there is a policy associated with this access point which is giving user 1 to put object inside app holder 1. So, access point 1 have one policy attached which is giving permission to user 1 to put any object in app 1. Now, access point 1 is giving permission to user 1 only. For user 2, I have another access point which is giving permission to the user 2 on app 2. So for each and every user, I can define single access point, and this single access point having one policy which is giving permission to user so they can access bucket according to their requirement. Here, if you have 500 users, you can create 500 access point and you can attach 500 different policy for each and every user. Here, managing policy will be very easy for you. Why? Because you have one policy attached with each and every access point. And of course, if you want to attach and give multiple permission to multiple user, you can do this as well. So let's say that if you want to manage 100 access point and giving permission on a specific users using one access point, you can do this. So here we have flexibility. Managing 500 users using single bucket policy will be complex. Of course, you can do this, but will be complex. Here, you can define number of access point and you can define by using this access point who can access which components of bucket. And this will give you flexibility. Now again, we need to understand more about it. So here I have more mind map points as well. So let's go with this as well. So here, simplify permission management. If you are giving permission using bucket policy, managing permission for multiple use cases within single bucket policy can become complex and hard to maintain. Why? Because your bucket is actually accessible from multiple applications and you have to define each and every permission using single bucket policy. Here, if you are using access point, allow you to create multiple access points for a single bucket, each with its own specific permission. Same way, enhance network security. Now this is one of the another point of using access point bucket policy. Do not relatively support network based restrictions requiring additional configuration to achieve similar network control. Let's say that I want that my bucket will be accessible from specific VPC. Now if you want to set up this kind of requirement, it would be difficult to set up this using bucket policy alone. But here when we are creating access point, provide ability to restrict access based on a specific VPC. It means you can create access point and you can define that this access point will be accessible from specific VPC or specific IP address. Now we can define this policy directly and attach this with access point. And this is one of the upper hand of using access points to assign permission. It is also used to improve scalability. A single bucket policy must be accommodated all access requirements. You cannot attach multiple access policy. You cannot attach multiple bucket policy with your bucket, right? If you have one bucket, there is only one bucket policy. So you have to add each and every permission within this particular bucket policy, which can become unwieldy as a number of users and uses grow. But when we are going to create access point, support of creating 100 of access point per bucket, each with the tailored permission. You have a specific clear understanding that you are creating access point for app 1 and you are giving permission to this particular access point. So app 1 can access your bucket using this particular access point. So it will give you better scalability, better security. But keep this in mind, bucket policy is only useful when access point is only useful if you have numerous number of application accessibility requirements. Let's say that 2 or 3 apps are going to access this. No need to worry, you can create bucket policy. But let's say that 100 applications is actually accessing your bucket data. In this case, it would be the better choice. Now, when we are creating access point, here we have to specify type. Let's do one thing. Here, I am going to the access points. Here you can create access points using 2 ways. First, you can directly go to the S3 console. From here you can create access point. In this case, you have to choose your bucket and then you can go ahead. Other point is you can directly go to the bucket. Let's say that if I am going to the bucket, I have this bucket, then I can create access point for this specific bucket. Both are like the same way. Here you are getting this list and here you can go to the specific bucket and then you are creating this. Now if I am going to this bucket and if I am going to click on access bucket, here when you are creating this bucket you will get 2 options. First, we call it network origin, VPC and internet. Now let's understand these two. Sorry, I know that you want to watch full video, but full video is now not available on YouTube. If you want to watch full video, I want you to go to our website. When you will go to our website, you will find out our course 100 Days YouTube Challenge. I want you to enroll for this course by paying only 499 rupees for lifetime if you are from India. If you are from outside of India, you just need to pay $7 US. Once you will enroll to this course, you are going to get all full videos over there on our portal. You are also going to get certificate after completing the course, and we have just uploaded 120 videos. We are going to upload another 120 videos as well. So there will be total 240 videos. I hope we are going to meet inside the class. Thank you very much.